Hello everyone, welcome back to Optimize FPL. Welcome back to FPL in general. It's been a little while since the World Cup, and last game week has been about a month away, so we are a wild card now. Let's take a look at our team. I'm going to take a look at last week as well, just to get an understanding, because I had COVID when it happened, so I never got a chance to show you my team or show you how it did. So we'll do that real quick, then we'll get into the team, and then we'll get into all of my transfer plans for the future for this amazing team that I've built. Let's go. Okay, starting off with last week, not too bad. It was not a bad week in general. Ward doing really well, Trippier obviously doing well, Foden did really well for us, Holland not so well. I think he came off the bench, only got 1 point. Kane did well, Martinelli did well. I brought in Firmino as a bit of a punt just at the end there, just because I knew that the next game week we were going to get our wild card for the World Cup. So I thought Firmino, might as well take a punt on him, see how he does. He did pretty well. Unfortunately, he's now injured, but it doesn't matter because he's not on the team anymore. We did gain rank a little bit. We're about 1.5 mil now. It's still not amazing, not where I want to be. But to be fair, it's only week 17. We still got lots of time. We still got 21 more weeks to go, roughly. And, a lot of people during the World Cup probably not going to come back. After that, they're just going to probably drop off, unfortunately. I just feel like it's hard for people to get back into the game. I'm having a hard time even getting back into the game. So, let's get into my team now and let's look at some of the transfer plans. So here it is, probably one of the most boring teams you're going to see. It's got a lot of the template players. It's very, very, very similar to Andy's from Let's Talk FPL. I'm not trying to copy his team whatsoever. I actually had built this draft before I saw his video today, which I just thought was hilarious. Very unfortunate timing, and if you want to call me somebody that copies teams, you go ahead, whatever. I don't really care, but it looks very, very similar. The only difference actually in the entire team is just white for Gabriel. I'm keeping the 1.5 million in the bank. I'm going to go through all of my transfer plans with this team and what I was playing around with it. So this was game week 17. Ariza Balaga net and James. Bournemouth at home is such a good fixture for Chelsea. We also have Mason Mount. A lot of people were saying that he's not necessarily a great player, but in Graham Potter's Chelsea, there's been so much rotation risk. The players that are very unlikely to be rotated, in my opinion, are Mount and Kepa, Arrizabalaga. I just think that those two are most likely to be nailed. I just don't see him really rotating goalkeepers that much. And Mount has been like so influential to that Chelsea midfield that I don't see him really going anywhere either. So those two I'm pretty certain are going to play. I guess the other one you could probably go for is Havertz as well if you wanted to bring a forward in. I don't fully hate that idea. I just think that there's better forwards for those prices. Other players in the defense, we got Cancelo. I know a lot of people are also thinking that he's not worth the price anymore at 7.4 million. I got him in at 7, so I only have to pay, I would sell him for 7.2. I understand the thought process of thinking that Cancelo is a little bit too expensive just because he basically brings clean sheets this season. He hasn't really had much of attacking output. But the thing is, he's had one of the most touches in the box this season for a defender by quite a large margin, I'm pretty sure. I don't have the exact statistics, but I remember reading about them. And I think Cancelo can still really increase his output in attack. Don't get me wrong, but the thing that I really like about him is that he's 100% nailed in that Man City defense. The problem is I know that we can say Walker's also pretty nailed, but he isn't really he is and he isn't. There's so much competition in this back line. I know Sergio Gomez isn't really one to be worried about, but if Sergio Gomez plays, Cancelo probably plays on the right. Walker gets benched. If Cancelo plays on the left, and they want to play Stones and Akanji, I believe, are the two players that play right center back. Well, Stones has been playing right back since Kyle Walker went injured, so why can't Stones keep playing there if he's playing well? And if he wants to get into the team, he wants to rotate. The other problem in that left center back spot, if you wanted to bring someone like Laporte in, you still have someone right behind him in Nathan Ake who's been playing really well as well, so he could easily be rotated. I know Diaz is out for about a month or so the right center back spot might be more nailed down for Akanji, but again, John Stones could play there. There's just so many Man City defenders. I don't want to play around with them. I want to have somebody that's going to be in almost every single game week, if not every single game week, and that's Cancelo. That's the only one that's going to do that for you. The other lad in defense is Trippier. I mean, obviously, everyone's got Trippier. He's been amazing. Newcastle defense looks really good. I think Newcastle in general look really good. As you can see in this team, one of the players that probably is very template, it's not in the team, is Almiron. I think that he is still a really good option, don't get me wrong, but I just don't know what that team is going to look like when Isak is back, when Saint Maximin is back. Does Almiron still start in that team? Because they got a lot of really good forwards. I just personally worry that he would potentially get benched in that team. And his price point is very cheap. Don't get me wrong, 5.8 million. I just think that there's better ways to spend your money. Okay, let's move on to the midfield now. I'm going to start with the two Manchester United players, the midfield and forward, I guess, Martial and Rashford. Their fixtures look absolutely fantastic for the first 3 weeks. As you can see here, they got Nottingham Forest, Wolves, and Bournemouth. Really, really good fixtures. Obviously, right after that, they got Man City and Arsenal. My personal plan is to take them both out before they play those two games. I think Martial might only stay for 2 game weeks before I bring in Mitrovic, because Mitrovic is out injured. That's the only reason he's not on the team. It was definitely Mitrovic for Martial before this team was created, but unfortunately, Mitrovic out most likely for the next game and potentially the game after. So it's definitely not worth it then. Looking back into the midfield though, Martinelli and Salah. I really like Salah. Martinelli is a pretty easy one. I'm just gonna get him out of the way. Martinelli easy. I got so much money tied up into him. I think Arsenal look really good, and yeah, that's basically it. Salah. You could go for Kevin De Bruyne. I'm going to be transferring Salah out for Kevin De Bruyne as well. He's somebody that will be on my radar. I just think Salah's first couple fixtures look really good, and like the thing is, like, I feel like the Man City Liverpool game, the Carabao Cup, really emphasized what these two players mean in FPL. Kevin De Bruyne looks way better on the pitch. He can get an assist at any point. He could potentially score a goal at any point. That's not debatable. But he didn't get the goal in that game. Where Salah played pretty poorly overall, didn't do very much, and still got a goal. That's just what Salah does. I feel like Salah just always finds a way to score a goal. De Bruyne finds a way to usually assist and sometimes score a goal. And I think that's the difference between the two players, and that's why I kind of prefer Salah over Kevin De Bruyne overall. But we'll see. I could be shown incorrect, but yeah, I just think that Aston Villa away and Leicester at home are pretty easy fixtures for our man Salah. And Brentford is like they're decent. I also think that could be a relatively easy fixture, just in comparison to the Man City fixtures, which are Leeds, Everton, and then they got Chelsea here, which is not an easy fixture. Then Man United, then Spurs. Like these are not easy fixtures, right? But I think that the double comes at a really good time for them. Speaking of Man City, let's just start about it. Holland. I mean, what are we gonna say about him? He's obviously there for a reason. He's the best player in the game without a shadow of doubt. Super cheap for what he should be probably, and yeah, he's definitely gonna be captain. Moving on, I'm gonna talk about Wilson. Again, like I said, I think Newcastle attack looks really good. I think that Wilson is almost 100% a lock in that team when he is fit. When he's in that team, he's usually scoring goals. He's played so well since his debut for Newcastle. And just the only reason he doesn't play every single week is he gets injured, and that is kind of a concern about this team is that there's a lot of injury prone players. James is injury prone. Martial is injury prone. Wilson's injury prone. Potentially even Rashford, I feel like, was kind of injury prone at one point. Mount has a problem with his calf right now, so he potentially could become injury prone in the future. There's a lot of problems with this team. Hopefully, nobody gets injured. Obviously, that'd be the best. But the thing is that there's a high likelihood somebody's going to get injured. I think Wilson is probably the main candidate for that. But like I said, this Newcastle attack looks really good. I think that Wilson is the most nailed player in that team, other than maybe Trippier and maybe some of the defenders, and maybe Bruno Guimaraes. But for an attacking output, I think that he is 100% the best player, and he's going to be on penalties as well. I just think that he looks the best player out of all the Newcastle players. And for 7.4 million, I still think that's a pretty cheap price. They got really good fixtures coming up. They look really good. I like Wilson as an option. I did have Darwin Núñez in at one point. I don't necessarily hate that idea either. It's still something that's on my radar because I do think Darwin can do really well. I think that because they don't have Luis Diaz, they don't have Jota, they don't have Firmino, he has no competition up there whatsoever, which is a good thing. But the bad thing is that they don't have as much creativity up there. So I do worry about his production. And after watching the Carabao Cup again, he's just such a bad finisher sometimes. Like he gets so many chances, and one of them is eventually going to go in, but he just gets so many chances. He misses so many. He can't even hit him on target for God's sakes, and that is concerning to me personally. Anyways, let's go on to our bench. Ward, pretty easy one. 4 million keeper for starting. That's even if they were at Bournemouth, you'd still probably pick them. So at Leicester, that's a great price for him. White, I think I understand a lot of people's wanting to go for people like Saliba and Gabriel because they're a little bit more expensive, but they're also more nailed in the team, I guess, and they have more attacking output. But I still think White is decent. Like he's going to play right back. He might not get as much attacking output as Gabriel would, but for 5.5 million, I'm not really getting a center back for attacking output. I'm getting them for the clean sheets mostly, and that's why I think White at right back is basically I personally think he's very similar, if not equivalent to Gabriel, and you get to save 0.5 million. which is going to be really helpful in the future. Andreas Pereira, an easy one. I think everyone should have him in their team. If they don't, they're pretty crazy unless they need exactly 4.5 million because he's 4.6 million now. But I think Fulham's fixtures look pretty decent. They got the double obviously in 19, but he's gonna be bench fodder for basically the entire season unless something amazing happens. He really goes off and he starts playing really well. Bueno on the bench. He started playing the last couple of games for Wolves. I believe I don't know where exactly in their defense, but somewhere in the defense he was playing. It doesn't really matter from a 3.9 million player. You don't really expect too much from them. I already did like not the math, but like the planning, and my 4.0 million defender never plays for me unless something really bad happens and somebody gets injured or a couple players get injured. They never are going to play for me if I'm being totally frank. So there's really no point in spending any extra money. I would have gone for a 3.8 million player, but they're from Liverpool and Man City, and I just don't see the point in taking away a spot from those teams in case they start going on runs. Okay, anyways, let's look at the transfer plans. Like I said, so this is the game week 17. Game week 18, I'm not going to make any changes to the team. Game week 19, I make my first transfer. It's going to be Martial out for Mitrovic. This way, I get 3 double game weekers from Chelsea, and I get 2 double game weekers from Fulham, which I think is the perfect amount. Unfortunately, Man City do play Chelsea away, so having that Mount or Mitrovic as like a backup, I think looks really nice to me personally. I'm not sure if I would play White, Martinelli, or if I'd play Wilson or Trippier. I guess it depends on their form going into this game. It's about 3 weeks from now, or 3 game weeks from now, so we'll have a better understanding of who's playing better, Arsenal or Newcastle, and that will decide who's going to start this game. Moving forward, game week 20, this is where a big transfers happen. I take Salah out for Kevin De Bruyne. I'm going to take Rashford out because this is when his fixtures turn really bad. This game week in particular, game week 20, I think they're playing Manchester City. I take Rashford out for Kulusevski, who has a double this week. It's not a great double, don't get me wrong. Arsenal and Man City are really bad doubles, but it's still a free transfer, and you're getting 2 games for the price of 1. I think that it's worth it, and I do think Tottenham could play well against Arsenal. It's a North London derby. It's at home. They're always up for it. Kulusevski is going to be nailed on. I do think Kulusevski and De Bruyne are still great picks for Game Week 17. I just think that they would be better picks later down the line than they are right at the bat. The next week, so Game Week 21, there is some rumors going around that there should be a double this week for Brighton. If this is true, I might even take out as Arrizabalaga for Sanchez. But the plan right now currently is just Mount to Trossard. Like I said, like Mount is a great option, don't get me wrong, but his fixtures aren't that amazing for that long term, so it's time to get rid of him. Trossard, his fixtures look really good, and he does have the double in Game Week 21. I think he's a nailed-on player. If Crystal Palace get the double instead, maybe someone like Zaha could come in that spot, bring him back into the team, or I don't even know. Maybe McAllister could also potentially be an option if Trossard isn't playing too well. I think McAllister for his price could be an even better option than Trossard, but we'll have to wait and see what all those teams are looking like. Game week 22, we're taking Kulusevski back out of the team. Tottenham's fixtures don't look that amazing. We bring Saka in for him. I think Saka's team, or the Arsenal in general, look really, really good after this point. Game week 22, Everton. Then they have the double in game week 23. Game week 24, Aston Villa, Leicester, Bournemouth, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Leeds. Like this is an amazing fixture run for Arsenal right here, and I think that you really want to be tripling up on them. I guess the opportunity to bring in someone like Nketiah is technically there, but I do think that Wilson and Mitrovic long term are better than Nketiah, so I don't really want to take out one of them for him. And Kulusevski would be playing pretty well at that point, but this is around the point when Richarlison should be coming back, so Kulusevski's spot in the Tottenham lineup is probably going to be in doubt around this point. In Game Week 23, no transfers here. A lot of doubles though. I have triple Arsenal, triple Man City. That's 6 double game weekers in 1 game week. And in this week, we actually do end up taking out Wilson for Martial. The reason for that is because this is around the time I'm getting somewhat close to wanting to take some punts, because I'm going to be probably wildcard game week 28 to 29, somewhere around there. And Martial's fixtures up until 29 are pretty decent. Brighton, Newcastle's on an easy one, but they got Everton, Southampton, Brentford. Like these are pretty. Leicester, Brentford, Southampton, Brighton are pretty easy fixtures. They obviously have Liverpool away, but you can just bench them for that game, and that's what I'm planning on doing. So really not a big deal. I think that he looks pretty good. Assuming that he's still the starting striker, there's so much that can happen. Like at this point, we're about a month and a half, 2 months into the season, restarting, and like anything could happen at this point. This is all just projections. This is all like what if the best case scenario happens. This is what I'm going to do. But it's always good to plan and predict and all these things. This game week, I do end up taking out the Chelsea keeper Arrizabalaga for Pickford. Like I said before, I like targeting fixtures, and look at these fixtures for Everton: Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, and then game week 28, 29, 30. It's not great for our boys in Everton. But then if you look at Leicester's fixture at that point, game week 28, 29, 30. Look at that: Brentford, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth. Those are pretty good fixtures for them. So it's a nice little rotation we can have going. Game week 26, I believe this is the last one I have for like any changes. Newcastle's fixtures really don't look that amazing after game week 26, but Tottenham's look pretty decent. They got Wolves away. They have Nottingham Forest, Southampton, Everton. Like these are really good fixtures going to the end of the season. Kane is someone that I would be looking at in the second half of the season, or maybe even Son, depending on which one's doing well, because these last four fixtures for the end of the season could be absolutely game changers for all of us. And then game week 27, I do end up bringing Salah back in for De Bruyne against Bournemouth at home or away. Sorry, I just think that it looks too good. Bournemouth, Fulham, pretty easy fixtures. And yeah, that's basically, this is around the time I'm going to be wild carding hopefully. So that's the plan at least. That's what I would like to do. But yeah, sorry that was a bit rambly. I just wanted to go through everything that I had here for my plans, the reasons I had all these players in, and when I'm planning on taking them out. I want to be very, very precise this time around. I feel like I wasn't as precise in the first half of the season as I'm only ranked 1.5 million. So I believe this week I can do a lot better, start my season off a lot stronger, and I think that long term my transfer planning looks very, very good for my team. Thanks everyone so much for watching. Happy holidays. Again, I have my apologies for not bringing out the video last week, or I guess almost a month ago. Like I said, I had COVID, so wasn't really up for it. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to the Premier League being back. Good luck, everybody, and cheers.